So, I'll just wait for the ambulance to go past. I'm going to start off my talk with an imaginary conversation between me and a friend. But I'm going to be me and the friend. So, I'll tell you when I swap over to the friend. Hopefully it'll be obvious. So, I'll start by being myself. And then I'll move over to here to be the friend. I think that will work. Can you hear me okay? So, I got a phone call from Channel 4 today. They might want me to be in a documentary about dating. That's so funny. You on TV with that hair. What on earth are you going to wear? And surely you're too old. Couldn't they get a younger dating coach? And do they know that you wear glasses? Plus, you're not really qualified to talk on TV, are you? Why don't they get a proper therapist rather than a coach? What if you've misunderstood all the research? And what if you've missed out a really important study that shows the opposite of what you've said? And obviously you're going to get that menopausal brain fog thing, aren't you, where you forget what you're going to say? So, I don't think you should do it. I think you should turn it down. So how did that sound? Does that sound like the kind of friend that you'd like? No. Bit shocking, isn't it, to hear someone speaking to their friend in that way? But that is the way that we often talk to ourselves, right? It might not be conscious, it might not be deliberate, it might just be thoughts flitting in and out of our consciousness, but we definitely speak to ourselves like that, and that is exactly some of the things that I did say to myself when I got the phone call from Channel 4. So, we doubt ourselves, we compare ourselves to other people, we think of the worst case scenario, we undervalue our expertise, and we're really hard on ourselves, we really push ourselves, we don't cut ourselves any slack. We don't, we're not generous, see, I told you about the menopausal brain fog. We don't forgive ourselves, we're not generous towards ourselves. So we know that we have the ability to be a supportive friend to others, right? But why don't we do it towards ourselves? We have that inner critic, but we also need another voice, louder but kinder. So there's a book called The Art of Loving, written by a psychoanalyst called Erich Fromm, which was first published in 1956. And in it, he poses 4 important questions that I use in my coaching. The first one is, do you believe that you are worth loving? The second, are you able to teach others how to love you? The third, do you have the humility to learn from others about how to love them? And fourthly, are you able to receive love from others? In my work as a coach, I'm constantly coming back to these 4 questions because I think they form the basis of healthy relationships. But it all starts with how you feel towards yourself, as Vanessa said when she introduced my talk and basically summed up the whole thing. So unless we can treat ourselves with love and compassion, tenderness and generosity, like a supportive friend, it's going to be really hard for us to give and receive love in a healthy way. Think about the ways that you react to, say, a bad date, or constructive criticism from your boss, or somebody criticizing you, or an argument with a partner, or an unexpected kick from a stepchild, which is the subject of a whole other talk. Come back next time. That all of these things are influenced by our relationship with ourselves. We need that compassionate friend to talk to that inner critic that says all the negative stuff. And I'm not just talking about negative beliefs. Some of you might have gone through some CBT or know about CBT, but I'm talking about an emotional change in the way that you relate to yourself. So when people come to me for coaching, whether it's for dating or relationships, they often want to go straight to strategies and tips and techniques, which is all kind of dealing on the surface. But if you don't have that foundation of caring for yourself and understanding yourself, then whatever problems you've got are just going to pop up in different ways. You're just papering over the cracks. So think of your healthy relationship with yourself like a cushion. Visual aid. A cushion can help us to be more resilient to the ups and downs of life. So it can make us less reactive, more forgiving, less sensitive to triggers, less likely to get hurt by other people. Maybe it makes us feel more secure, makes us more loving, more confident, more relaxed. The list of benefits is endless. So if we have to appear on Channel 4, wouldn't it be better if we had a supportive friend to come along with us, to cushion us against the possible stresses of the day? And we can be that supportive friend to ourselves. So I hope I've convinced you that being kind and compassionate to yourself is a really worthwhile activity. It can influence so much in how we deal with day-to-day life and how we react to the way that people treat us. So the next question is, why are we so hard on ourselves? Where does it come from? Maybe you've already guessed. A lot of it comes from our childhood experiences, the way that we observed the adults in our lives treating us, treating each other, and treating themselves. If they were harsh and critical towards us or towards themselves, then we are likely to be harsh and critical towards ourselves. Perhaps you can think of a time in your childhood where maybe you were anxious or fearful of, say, passing an exam or taking part in some kind of sporting activity or competition. Did your parents encourage you to push through, or did they allow you to express those anxieties? And did they say to you, it's okay, I love you just as you are, I completely accept you, you don't need to achieve anything, I really believe in you, and I'll support you whatever you do. Whether you pass the exam, whether you decide not to take the exam, it doesn't matter. That's the kind of thing we need to hear from our parents. And our parents may be very loving, but they may not always have said those things. We may have internalized that inner critic from those harsh and critical comments. And so I can ask myself, what would my parents say to me if I said to them, I'm going on Channel 4? And I know that there would be things like, oh, Rachel, are you sure that you can do that? Are you sure you're up to it? Won't it be really stressful? And so I know that I've internalized some of those voices myself. So this also brings up the issue of how emotions were dealt with in the home as children. Were we able to express anger or sadness or positive emotions like being happy or trying to be loving or tender towards someone else? How were those dealt with? Were they shut down or were they explored and discussed? When people come for coaching, this is the kind of thing that I would start off discussing with people to try and see where those patterns of thoughts and emotions have come from so that we can recognize when they turn up and say, I can see this is an old story, this is an old pattern repeating itself. And that insight can be very powerful and a first step to being more compassionate towards ourselves. So that was just a very brief treatment of why we're hard on ourselves. Could go into a whole other talk just on that topic. But I also want to look at what can we do about it, how can we be more compassionate towards ourselves, and what would that look like? So it's kind of like we need to retrain our brains. We need to retrain the way that we speak to ourselves. So when we have those negative thoughts and doubts about ourselves, we have another voice that we can use to speak to ourselves, to be generous and tender. It's not just about challenging the evidence and saying, well, you know, you say that you're going to get menopausal brain fog, but on the other hand, there's this other bit of evidence. It's not just about that. It's about how we relate to ourselves emotionally. And like we would like our parents to say, we say to ourselves, I love you. I accept you just as you are. I believe in you and I trust that you'll make the right decision. And when we've heard that, then we can say, well, okay, now let me think about whether I want to go on Channel 4. What are the costs and benefits? Does it fit with my values and my priorities right now? And then I can make a decision about Channel 4 based on coming from a position of strength and a position of self-care rather than from fear and anxiety. So now I want to do 2 little activities with you, I hope that's okay, to help you to develop that self-compassionate, kind way of relating to yourself. The first one's going to be kind of like a mini visualization, and the second one is going to involve me reading out some statements and you repeating them after me, a kind of brainwashing session. But first, I'm just going to have a little sip of water while you get yourselves comfortable and close your eyes. So just take a moment to breathe slowly, gently, and lovingly. Yes, it is possible to breathe lovingly. Now imagine that there's another you that stepped outside of your mind and body. Perhaps think of her as a future wiser version of you in 20 years' time. Or it could be a loving big sister, or a really chilled out auntie. Now, some of you will need to put your glasses down for this. I'd like you to begin to stroke your head, very slowly and gently. Try to use both hands if you can. And imagine it's this other you, this chilled out, loving, wise you that's doing it. And this you says to the other you, I accept you exactly as you are. I don't care about your achievements or your appearance. I don't care about your status or the way that you've messed up your life, how much money you've got. I'm really proud of you. I love you. There's nothing you can do to make me love you any more, and there's nothing you can do to make me love you any less. Allow yourself to receive these words and to be loved. If you regularly tell someone in your life that you love them, then you have the skills to do it to yourself. And when you're ready, just pat yourself on the head to seal in the love and take your time to open your eyes. So that's something you can do at least 10 times a day. For 30 seconds, just stroke your head and say nice, kind, compassionate, tender things to yourself to begin to develop that loving, generous relationship. You step outside yourself, so you're not completely identifying with maybe the negative thoughts, the self-doubt, and then you say those things to yourself that you have the skills already that you say to your friends. So my second example of how you can be more loving towards yourself is I'm going to read some affirmations for you, some loving affirmations, and if you would like the affirmations, I can send them to you. So Vanessa will be sending out all the details tomorrow, and if you sign up to my mailing list, I'm very happy to send you a list of the affirmations for you to use on yourself. So the idea is that you've got the inner critic, but now you've got the compassionate voice, which we want to be stronger and more convincing than the critic. And it's about training yourself, changing that bias towards the positive. So I'm going to say each one, and I would like you to repeat them loudly and convincingly. So let's go. I accept myself just as I am. I feel good about myself. I do not need to appear on Channel 4 to know my worth. I am lovable. I am whole. I am present. I deserve to be treated with love and respect. Even if I'm not word perfect on Channel 4, I am still okay. I trust the wisdom of my emotions. I am a gift to others. I do not need to be like anyone else. My very existence makes the world a better place. I feel like they could be slightly louder and more enthusiastic. I celebrate who I am every day. That's better. I have so much to offer. My friends and family benefit from my love and support. I make people smile and laugh. I make people feel good about themselves. I'm not perfect, but I'm worth it. I feel strong. I like myself. I am relaxed and happy with my own imperfections. I accept my limitations. Oh no, that's the same as the last one, sorry. Brain fog. I am confident of my boundaries and non-negotiables. I don't need to apologize for my own needs. Who needs channel 4? I am enough. Who needs channel 4? I am enough. Thank you. Well done, everybody.